Today's January 23rd. And we're looking at a review session. If you're not here for a review session for Accounting 201, just put it in the chat. And I'm going to ask that you come back toward the end of the time, like at 3:40. But put it in the chat so I know you're coming back. All right. So let's see. Everybody here is from Accounting 201, yes or no? Is anybody
I
not
am.
here from Accounting
Yes.
201? So. Okay, Austin, I can do that. So problem 332, Austin wants to go over. Let me just write this up. Student questions 3-32. And when you say 3-32, are you talking about the textbook number? Kansas Company?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's an example in the book, and I think they gave the answer, but
3-32.
I don't understand the answer.
Yeah, I don't think the problems go up to 32. So which one are you talking about?
It says using the decision tools, Kansas farmer vertically
Austin, are you still there?
cooperative.
I can't hear you.
Yes, I'm.
It says you're
I
talking,
can hear
but I
you,
can't hear you.
Austin.
Okay, we'll let him come back to that. No, I cannot hear you. Can you change your, can you guys hear me? You know what? I'm an idiot. Say it again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I turned my sound on. Sorry about that. I'm a loser. Okay. So, all right. So where's 3-32 on the page? Is that the page?
Yeah, on the page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it says, yeah.
All right, I'm with you. So 3-32 Kansas. Okay, we will, would you interrupt me at 3:35 and remind me that? Okay.
Got it.
All right. How do you guys feel about Monopoly? How do you guys feel about journal entries?
I have a question actually. How specific do you want us to be on the journal entries? Like we need to say what we purchase, or do we just say purchase land?
Purchase land is fine. I want to know, oh, you're talking about Monopoly. I'm sorry. And for Monopoly, say what you purchased. Purchased Mediterranean Avenue, something like that. Okay. That would be great. And then that light's really bright. Okay. So let's just, is everybody started Monopoly? Let's look at it. Oh, some people are already there. Okay. So let's look at the, I don't want to grade it. I want to look at the instructions. Oh, Lord, I have the old dates. I am so sorry. All right, let's fix that. Monopoly, new dates. Monopoly draft is due January 24. The peer reviews are going to be available. So the next morning, the peer reviews will be available. And then you want to complete the peer review by January 26. And then something that came up in my other class for another assignment where we were doing peer reviews, and it was the peer made a mistake and marked something wrong, and the student had a correct answer and the student changed it to a bad answer. So if that happens to you and you feel like you were right, just not text me, send me an email and say, hey, this looked like it was right, and we can talk about it. Because I won't be having office hours, but if you email me, I can give you an answer on that, okay? Because I can see your work. And if you say, hey, this one looked like it was right, can you check my work and tell me if it was right? Don't assume your peer is 100% right. There's learning on the peer side and there's learning on the person who does it. Okay. And your final Monopoly draft is due January 28th. Okay. And my sense is that you guys will really have a good handle on the journal entries after you do Monopoly. Okay, so Chai-sung, I'm gonna show how to do Monopoly. Did you watch the video at all? It's a very straightforward game. So, and you're only booking 26 transactions. Okay. So if you don't mind watching the video first, and then maybe, are you available to come by tomorrow and we can walk through it individually with you? Chessing, I can come by tomorrow. Perfect. Okay. Can you come at 11 tomorrow? Yes, perfect. Okay. So it's, so I just want to talk about peer reviews. Have you guys all done peer reviews before? They're pretty straightforward, but you come back into this same assignment, but now on the right side, you can't really see it, but there will be a name there and you click on it and that's your peer, okay? So then you will go into that. Let's say you had a peer. I'm just going to bring up, let me bring up, has anybody in this group submitted? I don't think so. No, nobody in this group has submitted. So I'm just going to bring up an assignment. Okay. So who is this? This is Diana. So here's her work and she's showing her screenshots and all her work and etc. Okay. I'm not going to have you look at her work because that's confidential. But over on the right, it'll say view rubric. I want you to click on the rubric and then you can widen the screen so you can see more. And then you're actually going to put grades in here. It's not going to be the final grade, but if their log sheet is well done and perfect, they filled it out correctly, you're going to give them 0.5 points like that, okay? And then you're going to come down to the bottom and be sure to hit save. Now, I am told that you can't partly grade the paper and then come back in. It will lock you out. I'm told it was fixed, but last quarter it wasn't fixed. So I want to make sure once you start your peer review, you finish it and plan like 20, 25 minutes to do it. Okay. Any questions on that? Once you're done, hit save and use this area in here for your comments. You don't need to put comments down here. Just use the rubric, put all the comments in. Then they come back in, they can see all your comments and they can make changes if they want. Or they can say, no, I'm happy the way it is. And then that'll be the final submission. Okay, you don't have to resubmit it on another assignment. You're still working on this assignment, okay? All right. And then let's go back here. And has anybody started the assignment in this group?
I've started on it, but I
Oh,
have
perfect.
2 questions about it.
Excellent. Okay, I am going to go in here. No, I don't want this. No, 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 no. I don't want that. Let me, let's download the worksheet. And I'm just going to bring it up while you ask your question. All right, so here's the worksheet. And it shouldn't take 3 to 4 hours, but I want to give you guys maximum time to do it. Okay. All right, so here, can you guys see the Monopoly worksheet? Yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, then I don't know why every time I bring anything up these days. So here's some notes, it's blank. Here's your instructions. And you have all these tabs at the bottom, all right, to use, okay? So stage 1 is you complete the assignment and you submit it by Wednesday night, okay? And that includes screenshot, chart of accounts, log, T accounts, and your statements. And then your peer gives you feedback and you can download it again and make corrections after you get the feedback and re-upload it on the same assignment. And the way Canvas works is I see the latest version. That's the version I grade, okay? And so if you have no changes, you can just leave it alone. All right, so you're gonna go to this website and then you're gonna put a screenshot at the beginning and at the end of that, at the end of your assignment. So here's an example of that. And then you put your finished screenshot here. Okay. Here is a chart of accounts. Only use these accounts. So we've learned some accounts in chapter 2 and 3, chapter 1 and 2, when we made our balance sheet and income statement. So for income statement accounts, it's rent revenue, go revenue, miscellaneous revenue. Only use those 3 accounts. And then there's a whole bunch of expense accounts. And then here's our balance sheet account: cash, accounts receivable, land, building, accounts payable, common stock, and retained earnings. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop there. Go ahead, Shakira. What are your questions?
Yeah, so my first question is, what do we do if the game kind of glitches out a bit? Because I noticed when I got sent to jail, I paid the fine for $50 and then I bought property on that turn, but the game only registered the 150 I used to buy property. And so it didn't log it as 200, which should have been accurate. So I did that in my worksheet, but when you look at the screenshot, there's going to be a discrepancy in like the money I ended with.
Put a note and I'll take that into account. That's
Okay.
fine. I mean, this is a free cheapo version of Monopoly. I'm not gonna penalize you if it glitches on you. Just say, hey, there was a glitch and the system didn't record the jail.
Okay. And then my second question is, what do we count for rent revenue? Because the computer was paying me rent on certain turns. Do we count that as rent revenue or?
Let me run some transactions. Maybe that would make that easier. So on this, so number of players, how did you do? 2?
I did 2.
Okay. And one of them, so you can play with 2 humans, but you only have 1 human. So we're going to play with a computer. Okay.
Mhm.
And I'm going to make you red just so it stands out. Okay. Red and blue. So the human is red and the computer is blue. And we start the game. And over in the corner, let's see if I can make this bigger. No, I can't do that. Let's see. So yeah. So up here, here's you, the player in red, and here's the computer. You always start the game with $1,500. So let's go over to the Monopoly sheet. And you're only going to do the screenshot at the end. So let's go to, and we've looked at the chart of accounts. And here I've already put the first transaction in for you. So here is the 1,500, because you have to account for the fact that you're given $1,500. So this transaction log is tracking only cash. So cash went up or cash went down, plus or minus. And the description here is given to you. And that's the first journal entry you learn in chapter 3, which is, hey, stockholders invested in the company. And remember, we always do transactions from the point of view of the company. So the company, which is your company, the Judith company or the Shakira company, the company, their cash went up $1,500. Okay. So you already kind of are guaranteed your first transaction. So let's go back here. And I think we say, yeah, that's great. All right. Where do I get to roll the dice? Let's see.
You have to click roll dice.
Player 1's turn. We're player 1, and we're going to roll the dice. Okay, so player 1 rolled 10, and you landed on just visiting. So you landed up in jail, right? So you start, hold on, I'm down here. Where are you? We started at go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the game moves your player piece for you. So maybe I'll make it smaller. Okay. It moves it for you. So there you are. There's jail. You are not there. You're just visiting, but there's no land to buy. So just think the game is about buying land and renting it out. So you buy the land, that's an asset. You rent it out, that's rent revenue. Okay. So in our turn, there's no action to take. It's computer 1's turn. Computer 1 rolled an 8. Here's computer 1. They landed on Vermont. The computer bought Vermont and it cost $100. And if you bring your, let's say, okay, there. If you bring your mouse on top of there, you can see what the price is on any of this property. Okay. All right, now it's our turn. So roll the dice. And we only record player one's turn. So the first transaction, there was nothing to record. There was no cash up, there was no cash down. I'm just going to do like 2 more transactions. Okay, now we landed on St. James Place. You can see the price is 180. Well, the only way you make revenue in this game is if you buy property. So you have to buy property. So you bought it, and we're going to say buy it. And it gives you a choice. You don't have to. But if we buy it, we have to record it over here. So we're going to come over here and we're going to say minus 180 and say minus just to show, whoops, minus, and we're going to show bought Vermont. And that's enough of a description. That's good enough. I'll know what you're talking about. Okay, but we got to stay on the board game. So we got to click buy. Now let's scroll back up. Note that my player one now only has 1320. They started with 1500. Now they only have 1320. Okay. Okay. Roll again. Why do I get to roll again? Player one rolled 6, bought St. James Place for
You
1.
have doubles, so you get to roll again.
Oh, I didn't catch that I had doubles, 3 and 3. All right, that's another rule. It'll tell you. So roll again. We landed on New York Avenue. It cost 200. We're going to buy that as well. Okay, so let's go back here. Minus 200. I haven't played Monopoly in a while. Okay, so now let's go back to the game. I'm going to say buy 200. And you can see my cash is going down. So I can't buy every property I land on, but I am going to buy a lot of this first round. Okay. I still haven't made a single sale yet. Nobody's landed on my property. So now I'm going to end my turn. And computer one landed on States Avenue. Computer one bought States Avenue. We don't have to track the computer. We only track player one. Okay. And roll the dice. Now we're landing on Atlantic. And the question is, do you buy it again? I would if I were playing because I want to get as much property as fast as possible. Okay. So let's just, I'm gonna stop recording that in turn. Okay. I want to see if we can get to a transaction in turn. Oh, okay. All right. Pass. Okay. Okay. Roll the dice. Dang, I'm just landing on property. Okay, let's roll again. Sure, we'll buy it. Roll again. Now, all these transactions I should be recording, but I want to get to a transaction that will help you. Buy that. Roll again. Player one landed on electric company. Getting kind of low, but I'm going to buy it in turn. Okay. All right. So I'm right there. Okay. Roll the dice. Player one landed on Kentucky Avenue. Where are we? No, we went around again. All right. So what I want to show you is every time you pass go, you get $200. Okay. So we're going to call that go revenue. So let's say we passed go here. We add 200 here. And we would say go revenue. And that's going to remind us how to code that. Now you can see all these transactions. The other transaction is cash. All right. The other transaction is cash. So when we get to the journal entries, if we were to book these 4 journal entries, cash would be debited. That's how we increase cash. Cash would be credited. Cash would be credited, and cash would be debited. Okay. All right. Before I go on and show a journal entry, do you have other questions on the transactions, Shakira?
I mean, kind of. For me, the thing is, I'm just wondering about the rent revenue because when the computer, it'll say there like the computer paid you $4 or $10.
Okay, let's just log that. Let's say you got paid $18, okay? And let's say it was, I can't remember, rent revenue like that, okay?
Yeah.
So let's book these transactions, okay? So we've got 5 transactions to book. And I did the first one for you. So cash is an asset, and here's the rules of debit and credit. Assets are increased with a debit and decreased with a credit. How do you remember that? You just have to remember it.
Or I think of debit and credit cards. I have to load up my debit card and my credit just takes it out.
There you go. Liabilities have a different rule. Now, this is that accounting equation. Assets equal liabilities plus stockholders' equity plus revenue minus expense minus dividends. Assets is on the left side, okay? And in Latin, debit means left and credit means right. That's all it means, okay? But the rules of debit and credit, you kind of have to memorize. So assets on the left side, so you increase it with a debit. Liabilities are on the right side, so you increase it with a credit. So it just means left and right, but the left and right are significant for the T accounts and for the journal entries, okay? And that's why I made the R capitalized there. Stockholders' equity is on the right side of the equation. Credit has an R in it, so you credit it to increase it. Revenue is on the right side of this accounting equation, so you credit it. Now, expenses and dividends are also on the right side of this accounting equation, but we have minus signs, and that flips the signs, so you debit them to increase, okay? So the rules of debit and credit, you really have to memorize before the exam. And you only have 13 transactions in chapter 3. So it shouldn't be too hard, but it does take practice. It's like you're learning a new language. So let's book this first journal entry. And each journal entry stands alone. We booked the first one. Let's book the second journal entry, bought Vermont. Something I really want you guys to do is always list debits first, then credit, okay? So I like you to skip a line between journal entry, just looks neater. And for date, just put whatever date you played. So we'll say 123, 123. All right, so cash went down, that's a credit, but we bought land. So look at your chart of accounts. Land is the title. Only use the titles that are on here. Don't make up new titles. So we're going to debit land. And we're going to credit, and be sure to indent when you credit anything. And we're going to go 180 and 180, okay? Why is the money divided between credit versus debit? Isn't it all just money? That's such a good question, because we're trying to create an audit trail. So yeah, the cash goes up, the cash goes down, but where did it go? Did it go into land? Then we have to do the two sides of the transaction. We want to know, was the money spent? And if so, how was it spent? Or did the money come in from revenue? How did we get money in? Or did we get money in from common stock? So we want to know the other side of the money transaction. That is an excellent question, Ashley. It's a really good one. All right. So here is where you'd say purchased, I think it was Vermont. And I guess you could say Vermont Avenue. That'd be more proper. You didn't purchase this whole state of Vermont. Okay. Here we bought New York Avenue and it was 200. We're going to say same transaction, exact same transaction, just different dollar amount. Purchased New York Avenue. Okay. And it was $200. All right, and then we get to transaction 4 and we passed go. And we get $200 when we pass go. Cash goes up. Direct message me. When cash goes up, what do you put, debit or credit?
Debit.
Cash goes up, debit or credit? Oh, Ashley, you are correct. Cameron, you are correct. Anybody else? Cameron, Austin, Ashley. Good. Okay. So this is transaction 4, 123. We passed go. Cash goes up. That's a debit. And it goes up $200. And this is what Shakira was asking. Where does it go? It's rent. So let's look at our chart of accounts. It's rent revenue. Somebody landed. No. Sorry. They passed go. Whenever you pass go, you get go revenue. And I know in the actual game, those of you that know how to play, that's called your salary. But for this game, we're calling it go revenue. Okay. Because we want to use it for our income statement. So this is going to be go revenue, $200. And we're going to say past go. Okay. All right. So one last one. We have right now we have rent revenue, $18. And we don't need to say where it came from. It's fine to just say rent revenue. Okay, so we collected $18. We can see in our list of transactions, cash went up 18. Once again, cash went up, and so did rent revenue. So let's go look at our rules of debit and credit. Rent revenue went up. It increased. Is that a debit or a credit? Put it in, direct message me in the chat. Rent revenue increased. Is that a debit or credit? Nope, I ended up direct messaging only Cameron. Sorry, Cameron, that was meant for everybody. Rent revenue increased, debit or credit? Ashley, you are correct. Look at the rules of debit and credit. If we increase an account, and if you can see these colors, increases I'm showing in green and decreases I'm showing in red. And then if you're an asset and increase is a debit, what's the rule for revenue? All the revenue accounts. So far, I have one correct answer. Ashley. Cameron, you're correct. Austin, you're correct. Good, good, good. All right. So if any of these revenue accounts increase, it's a credit. Okay, cash went up. If any asset account increases, it's a debit. Okay, so let's make that journal entry. So cash went up, $18. Rent revenue also went up $18. Rented property or rent revenue. Okay. So I want to stop there and say, look at that journal entry. You have increases on the debit side and increases on the credit side. So debits and credits don't have to be an increase and a decrease. They just have to be a debit and a credit. Okay. And for students learning that for the first time, you think, oh, it's got to be like a scale. It's got to be increase and decrease. It is like a scale. Asset equal liability plus stockholders equity, et cetera, but it doesn't mean they both increase, they increase and decrease. They just have to have an equal amount of debits and an equal amount of credits. Okay, Ashley has another really good question. How do you know which account is on the top and which account is indented for the journal entries? Thank you for asking that question. The account that's on the top is the debit. The debit is always listed first. The credit is always indented and listed after the debits. So first the debit, and you can see it here that it's a debit, and then the credit, and its credits are indented because they're on the farther right side, but we show it on the account as well. Land is a debit. Cash is a credit because we reduced cash when we bought that property. Here we bought New York Avenue. Land went up, so it's a debit. So we list the debit first, and we paid cash. Cash went down, so it's a credit. Here we got go revenue. We passed go, we got $200. Cash went up. That's a debit. List it first. Go revenue also went up. So we're going to report that go revenue also went up, and we increase revenue accounts with a credit. So we indent go revenue, and there's your 200. Finally, we collected rent money. cash went up, that's a debit, list it first. Rent revenue also increased because we're going to report more rent revenue. So that's a credit because revenue accounts increase with a credit. Okay, these are great questions. Now, please note, I got cash in every entry. I've got cash here, here. Let's see if I can do this. Here, here, and here. Note that it just depends. Is cash increasing? Then those are all debit transactions. Increase. But where it's decreasing, cash is a credit, and we list it second. Okay. In these last two transactions, cash is listed first. Go. So it's a debit and then the credit. And here it is a debit. Okay. All right. So you'll have 25 transactions. You'll add up all your transactions, and then you'll do the journal entries. And then your next step is to do your T accounts. And what I like to see in the T accounts is the transaction number. And again, I've done the first journal entry. I've posted the first journal entry. And here's the other half of it. Okay. Again, my debits are equaling my credits. So let's book the second journal entry. Debit land, credit cash for 180. Okay. So we scroll down. So note that the assets are all listed in this first column. So we'll scroll down. We've got transaction 2. We bought land and we paid cash for it. So scroll back up, and you don't have to drop a line. You can just put that credit in and then a 2. Okay. And then your third journal entry, again, we bought land, debit land 200, credit cash. So go down to land, that's transaction 3, we bought land. So you can see one asset is going up, land is going up, but cash is going down. Okay. Now, when you get to the bottom here, I think that's an old number. When you get to the bottom here and you have all your 25 transactions, most of them are going to be on this cash T account. So you're going to add up all your debits, subtract all your credits, and whatever number is greater, debits or credits, you put it on that side. Typically, I'd expect to see the cash balance as a debit. Okay. All right. Any other questions on Monopoly? So you finish these T accounts out, you total all your T accounts, and then you come over to statements and you do your trial. Sorry, let's go to the left. You do your trial balance. Now, your trial balance is going to be in the same order as your chart of accounts. So you're going to list cash and only list accounts that have a balance. Okay. So let's look. You may not have any balance in accounts receivable, but you probably have land. Okay. You may not have a building on your land, or you might. So let's put land, building, and your ending balance, only one, debit or credit, only one. Don't put the balance on both sides. I want the net balance. And then you come down here and it should total for you, and these amounts should be equal. And once you have your trial balance, you're going to do your statements. Retained earnings statements, please make a note, beginning balance is 0 because you're just starting as a company. We don't include common stock in the statement of retained earnings. And then you're going to do a classified balance sheet, current assets, and then property, plant, and equipment, and total assets. Okay. And then finally come over here and do working capital. Here's the formula and current ratio. If current liabilities are 0, follow these instructions, and net income percent. Okay. But if your trial balance doesn't balance, go back and try to find the error before you go on to make the statements. Okay. All right. I must switch back to, can you see the agenda now? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing on journal entries? Any questions on those? Do you want to go over the regular PowerPoint journal entries?
I have a question about reading the actual like transactions in order to sort of translate it. Are there any like key words or things we should keep in mind when we're reading those transactions to know how to form the journal entries? Because I've been struggling with that a bit.
So you're talking about the words and then making them into a journal entry?
Yeah, because like I sometimes will get mixed up because keeping track of what comes in and what's going out, so I know which one to put first and second.
I think that is a lot of what you guys are learning in this class. So that is exactly part of what you have to learn in this class. So I try to put things pretty consistently, but still you can read a phrase and go, what? So let me walk through a couple of these with you guys. I want this. Okay. So the example in the PowerPoints is about a service company. And so for chapter 3 and chapter 4, we're only going to use service companies, and we're going to not sell product until chapter 5. We're just selling service. So this company is graphic design. And I want to take you right to the journal entries. So the first journal entry for a new company, this is going to be it. You see it in Monopoly, you see it here. You get money. The personal owner is no longer part of this. It's all about the company because we're only studying corporations. Okay, so from Emerald City now has cash. So cash goes up with a debit, and common stock also goes up. The company has common stock. That's a pretty straightforward journal entry. I think where we get in trouble is words like purchased and paying, things like that, bought. So here we say they rent an office paying. So whenever you see the word paying, you know cash is involved. Okay. And you can see it here. We prepaid the rent and we paid cash. Can you see my PowerPoints?
Yeah, we can see
Yes.
it.
Okay. Okay. Here you have, they ordered art supplies. It doesn't say they got them. It doesn't say they purchased them. And it doesn't say they paid for them. So you can only make a journal entry on what you see. Well, a journal entry, any accounting transaction requires an exchange, and there's no exchange yet. They've just ordered them. We don't even know if the company has shipped them. So that's why we put no entry. Now we're back to purchased. There's that word again. So purchased is confusing because we don't know yet if they paid cash right away or they're going to pay in 30 days. So in America, we usually order and then we pay later. We get an invoice, also called a bill, and we pay 30 days later. So we have to keep reading. They purchased a computer with 2,000 cash. Okay, now we know cash went out for 2,000 and the balance to be paid next month. Okay, so this is a little bit of a complicated entry. We bought the computer, we use the equipment account. Cash, so equipment goes up, it's an asset. Cash goes down $2,000, and we do a credit when we reduce cash. And then accounts payable actually increased because the company now has increased what it owes. It has a liability, it owes money for $3,600. Okay. So you got purchased, and then they have to tell you, did they pay for it or not? And I think, and here we have, now we purchased art supplies on credit. So again, we have a situation where we record the purchase, debit supplies, an asset went up, but cash didn't go out yet. We owe the money. We've increased our liabilities. Okay. All right. Are those the ones you were struggling with?
Yeah, kind
Yeah,
of. It's when because especially when it's like the types of service, because I know in the homework too, there'll be types where it might be like services were provided, and then you have to deal with like accounts receivable and payroll
right.
and all those types of things.
So
That
services were provided. So you had the exchange, the company provided the service, and the customer owes the money. So we're going to do debit accounts receivable for the company. That customer now owes us money. We're only doing the company books. We're not doing the customer books.
Right.
debit accounts receivable, and then we get credit for that sale because we've provided the service, or the company has. I shouldn't say we. So the company says service revenue credit. Okay. So let's look at another one. We pay a bill, we reduce accounts payable with a debit, we reduce cash with a credit. And finally, we create an advertisement and pay it in cash. Debit cash, cash is increased, service revenue is increased. We get an advance order. Okay, here's the one. Emerald City creates and delivers advertising to Genki Sushi. The fee is billed but not paid. So again, accounts receivable, we've provided service. We get to recognize service revenue, but it's not going to be paid till 30 days. Okay. We pay a salary. We recognize a phone bill because it happened. So that telephone company provided service to us. So we have a telephone expense or a utility expense, and we owe the money. We haven't paid it yet. And the dividend. Okay. All right. It is 3:45 and somebody was supposed to remind me of something. So who was it? So does that help a little bit?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. So let's do student question 332. Who had that question? Maybe they're gone.
Oh yeah, I did.
All
I'm
right,
still
Austin.
here.
Let's bring that question up and we
Okay.
can do, now we're done with Monopoly. We're gonna do. All right, so it is it's toward the end. Oh, it doesn't find it there. Oh, because it's a picture. How about I go to the right chapter? Okay. Here we go. All right. So this is a trial balance. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. This was formed. This is a cooperative, a corporation formed by 200 farmers in the late whatevers. They process raw materials and distribute the products nationally. Okay. Profits not needed are returned to the members annually. Assume the following trial balance was prepared. So here we see it. And I might say it's out of order, but oh well. Okay. Because the trial balance is not in balance, you have checked with various people responsible for entering accounting data and have discovered the following. The purchase of new trucks costing $7 million was not recorded. Okay, so this is a farm. So they don't buy and sell trucks. They use the trucks in the farm. So what account would we charge when we buy trucks? Just from your choice accounts that you've used so far.
It should be equipment. I think if it's a car.
Correct. Yeah, 7 million. Yeah. Paid with cash. So which mistakes have caused the trial balance to be answered? Questions. Okay. So we would record the trucks. So do they want you to have the journal entries? Let's say. No, it doesn't ask, right? All of the items should be corrected. All right. So let's make a transaction for this. Come on, see if I can make this smaller. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. What would be your journal entry for buying the trucks? Okay. So let me close down some of these windows. Don't save. All right, here we go. So $7 million. Now this is a little misleading. How do you write 7 million? How many zeros? Make a million.
Six zeros is in
Okay.
a million, and then the digit up before that. Yeah.
Okay, so the journal entry is going to be equipment. And then what's the credit if you bought a truck? Paid for with cash.
Cash.
That's that same question that Shakira is asking. How do you know? It has to tell you. Okay, now all of these numbers are in thousands, but they've told you this amount in millions. Okay, so normally, let's just write this number. It would be 7 million. Okay, but because all the numbers are in thousands, we have to do them in thousands. So we take that off. Okay. So that would be our journal entry. Okay. So let's see if there's another error. So that would be a correction number 1. We want to add this journal entry because it's not recorded, right? Okay. And then we're going to do 2. Come on, where did 2 go? 2 is going to be a data entry clerk accidentally deleted the name for an account with a credit balance of 472 million. So the amount was added to mortgage payable in the trial balance. All right, so where did the 472 come from? I guess it was just an extra entry. So how do we correct that? We're going to say mortgage payable minus 472. And again, it's million. We don't know the journal entry, but we know we have to adjust the account. Okay, so the account right now is 873, and it should be less my 472. Okay. And the third trend was added. December cash sales revenue of 75 million was credited to sales revenue, but the other half of the entry was not made. So again, we have cash is understated by 75 million, and we're going to leave off those last 3 zeros. Okay. You guys with me? Okay. And then 50 million of salary expense was mistakenly charged to maintenance and repair. Okay. So maintenance and repair. So it's too high. It should be salary expense, should be maintenance and repair. I can't spell. And repair was charged 50 million. So it's too high. So we want to subtract that from maintenance and repair. And it should be charged to salary expense plus 50,000. Okay. Okay. All right, maintenance and repair. Okay, I'm with it. All right. So now we got to make all these corrections. So equipment is going to be increased here with that first journal entry, and cash is going to be decreased. So I'm just going to write it as pluses and minuses, not as a journal entry. Okay. So you're going to take the equipment account of 63,000 and you're going to add 7,000 to it. You're going to take the cash account. You're going to start with 32,000 and you're going to subtract 7,000. And you can see that in your book down below. Okay. Then you're going to take mortgage payable, 873, and you're going to subtract 472,000. And then to that ongoing number with cash, 32,000 minus 7,000 plus 75,000 and so on. And you can see those adjustments down here. Okay, so let's just show them. Beginning balance minus the 7 plus the 75. Wait a minute, where's the 75? Did I pick up the wrong number? Oh, there it is, 75 right there. There's cash. Yeah. All right, you can see those. And then equipment, we had a beginning balance of 63 and we're adding 7,000. Mortgage payable, we had a beginning balance of 873 and we're subtracting 472. Salary and wage expense, we had a beginning balance of 651. We're adding 50. And maintenance and repair, we had a beginning balance of 500. We're subtracting 50,000. And now your trial balance balances. And they put it in the right order. Okay. All right. Now, does that help or does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It was missing common stock. That's where the 472 was missing. That was hard to catch too.
Yeah, because there's no common stock up here, right? So even when you make all those corrections, you're still missing the other balance of common stock, which was the 472, what was the other side of that? Yeah, that journal entry. So there it is right there. Yeah. What was the name of the clerk? Make the necessary and redo it. And then here they're saying which ones go on the balance sheet and which ones go on the income statement. Okay. So really remember, I just want to assets equals liabilities plus stockholders' equity. That's all the balance sheet accounts. And then I like the expanded accounting equation plus revenue minus expense. Those go on the income statement and then minus dividends. Okay. So revenue minus expense, those are the only types of accounts that go on the income statement. Dividends are the only type of account in this accounting equation that goes on. It doesn't go on income statement, doesn't go on balance sheet, it goes on retained earnings. And all of these types of accounts go on the balance sheet. Okay, well, that's a horrible color. Anyway, you get the idea. Okay. Balance sheet, income statement, retained earnings statement. And then the retained earnings statement, remember, we take the beginning balance retained earnings plus net income or minus net loss and minus dividends. And we take that ending balance and bring it over to the balance sheet. Okay. All right. So tonight, what do we have? We have, let's look at our calendar. Something about Canvas, the calendar is slow to come up. Here she comes. All right. Nope, wrong one. This one. All right. So tonight is the 23rd. Monopoly is due tomorrow night, chapter 3 homework. So I moved the chapter 3 homework to Thursday because I wanted you to do Monopoly first and get a better idea of it. The quiz is Friday. If for some reason you're out of town, direct message me and I can move the deadline to Thursday. I can open it up on Thursday for you. Your peer review is due Friday night and then your final version here. Now I want to talk briefly about the practice exam. I know we're going over time, but you want to pull up the practice exam. Ideally, you guys can print it out or at least save it to your iPad or your computer. And you want to, the practice exam is not identical to the exam, but it will help prepare you for the exam. So do your studying first and then go into the practice exam and then take it. It might be a little longer than your actual exam, or it might be a little shorter than your actual exam. I can't remember. I'm going to take a quick look. And don't just rush to the practice exam. Do your studying first and then take the practice exam, and that'll prepare you a little better. And then a week from, we'll have another review session Tuesday next week, the 30th. And then on Wednesday, you'll come to campus at 2:30 to room C208, and there's instructions under the exam assignment, and there's a map on where it is. You'll have to pay for parking. I think it's a couple bucks. And Then you'll get some drill on normal balance, and then you'll get some drill on journal entries. And you'll make statements, and then there will be a short essay question to answer, and more statements, more practice. And then there, don't forget the last page. There's some accounting equation problems. Okay. All right. Last couple pages. All right. I will publish the solutions, but not right away. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the exam. I just want to show you that because I think you guys need to know. And it's, so here we are, Unit 1, it's all in blue. We go to Unit to the last chapter and scroll down, on-campus exam. And here's all the details, campus map, parking map, and then here's the details. So close book, bring some ID, writing utensil, water, snacks, photo ID. You need to sign in and sign out. And please don't hesitate to call me if you have questions. Okay. All right. You're not submitting anything on campus. You're doing a paper exam on campus. So, all right. Any other questions? Thanks for coming. And I'll have office hours tomorrow at 11. And if you have more questions after that, just email me and I get back. I'll be online Thursday and Friday. All right. I'll see you later. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you for everything.
You bet.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your questions. You guys have really good questions.
See you later.
See you later. Bye.